Okay, so we had to change the schedule here and get this internet here. Sorry, the internet. This interview here with Mr. Luis, Sancista Brujo Luis, today. Here you go, send the invite. Just waiting for him to come on, and we're gonna go ahead and start this video. See if he gets the invite. As soon as he gets in, then I'm gonna add them. So today's video, we're gonna be talking about espiritismo. We're gonna be talking about what is Sancista, about the altars, spiritual altar, Mesa Blanca, Puerto Rican Sensei, anything that Luis wants to share with us and how to begin those rituals. I'm just waiting for him to connect. Let me go ahead and send him a message. Just bear with me. Just waiting for him to join me. If I have to pause the video and start over, I will. Just have a little bit of patience. We did a test earlier. Sometimes the notification don't get there on time. Okay, he's messaging. Let me see if he gets it. Okay, here he is. So, let me. I don't have the little icon. I know he's there. He's watching, pero no me aparece. I'm gonna send the invite again, Mr. Luis. Hold on. Okay. Okay, there he is. Camera is on. Now I'm gonna add you. You should be getting the invite now. Okay, finally, there you go.
Hello,
Now we're live.
how are you?
Okay, pretty good, pretty good. I know you're tired. You're always busy. You are a busy man. Now you're drinking coffee to stay up.
My tea, mi tecito.
Yeah, dulce progreso.
Ok, por
Um,
eso.
Mr. Luis, why don't we start um, about who is Sancista Luis? Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, yes. Who am I?
Who Sancista Luis? How did Sancista Luis um, how was he chosen for this path?
I wasn't, well, I was chosen, and it's a long story. It started when I was, since the moment I was born. I was born con la telita. I don't know how you say that in English. The
With the
cloth,
veil,
the veil, el velo
the
en la
cloth.
cabeza.
Okay.
And my abuelita said to my mother, make sure you say that because el vino, he's come to work la mesa. He's come to laborar espiritualmente. I was born very sick. My father was a hippie in the 60s, so he was into all those crazy drugs. So I was born very sick. And as a little
Oh wow.
yeah, and as a little child, I was a bleeder. I used to bleed a lot of blood um, to the point that I would vomit blood. And I know I'm going so far. and you know, my grandmother, they brought me to Puerto Rico, but I remember from little, I would speak I would have imaginary friends, what we call imaginary friends. And my mother would worry, and she'd call my abuela in Puerto Rico, and she's like, no, let him do it. You know, he's got el don, he's got la facultad, he's got the abilities. Don't worry about it. If you see that he is, you know, something seems dangerous, then we'll go from there when we have to cross that bridge. So anyways, at the time, I remember the first spirit that I ever spoke with, and I'll never forget that spirit's name. I remember when I was little, I would close my eyes and I would see manifesting like the letter C in my brain. And I called him Silo. That was the name that I remembered. And he was there for a certain amount of time. And I remember that I would speak in mute, you know, like mudo.
Wow.
Yeah, but I would do it behind my back, and my mother would worry because everything the spirit would say, he spoke to me in that language. And I would do the same thing. And I remember the way the Peri spirit would manifest to me. I remember that can you see me?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Sorry, I just saw a notification. It seemed like he had 3 legs, and it was because his Peri spirit was deformed. So I was very sick, very ill child. I was always a bleeder, always in the hospital. And that was the only spirit that I could see at that time. At around 7 years old, I remember I was playing. I lived in a Puerto Rican neighborhood in the United States here in Massachusetts. And I was playing with my friends, and the ice cream truck came. And I was very excited. And I remember running across the street to get some money from my mother, and a car hit. And blank out. I was 7 years old, blank out. I remember the next image. I remember I was on the couch. My mother, all the neighborhood was there, calming my mother down. Blank out. The next thing I remember, I was in an ambulance. And I remember that the only thing I could remember was my mother was on this side crying. I was on a bed. And I remember that I was focused on the cross. It was like an ambulance, but it had like a red cross. And I remember I was looking at the lights. I was looking into the lights, and my mother was crying. And then I saw this apparition come through that red cross. And I said, oh my God, it's Jesus, it's Jesucristo. That's what I remember thinking as a little kid. Jesus, you know, it's Jesus. But I was like, but he don't look like the man in the pictures. You know, he doesn't look like that man with the long hair with the blue eyes. He had curly hair, dark colored skin. And he spoke to me in a language that I didn't understand, but it comforted me. And I don't know to this day what he said. To me, I felt peace. I felt in paz. Went to the hospital, and I was there for a while. And I remember that there was this gentleman. He gave me a teddy bear, and I still have the picture. He gave me this teddy bear, and he had passed. When he saw me in this hospital bed, he felt pity for me. He was a patient in the hospital. He left me a teddy bear, and I guess he had passed at that time. And I remember that I started speak. I could hear his voice through the teddy bear. I even named the teddy bear Theodore.
Oh, wow.
So it's a long story. It's a long
Okay.
story. I can go on.
Okay. It's it's funny that you said that because I have a spirit that I work with too,
Mm-hmm.
and I just recently started speaking to him. It's an American Indian,
Uh-huh.
and he will not speak to me. All he will come is do sign language,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what why can't you speak to me?
Mm-hmm.
Until recently that I started doing some research on American Indians. My girlfriend's like, you probably should do some research on him.
Uh-huh.
So I started watching videos, and there was a part on the video about a massacre with the Indians, and I started crying
Uh-huh.
watching the video. So I started crying, and that led me to him coming at night, saying thank you. That's what I wanted you to find out about me,
Right.
and it's funny that you said that because I have had that experience. Now, I also want to say to the viewers, please share this to your pages. If you can share this to the pages, because I know I can't share that right now for some reason. Um, share that to the pages so we have more viewers. And, I know a lot of people want to question him a lot. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions about Mesa Blanca, Sanse.
Mhm.
What can we put, for example, in a Mesa Espiritual or a
Right.
Mesa Blanca? What can we put there? Some people say you can put your ancestors there. Do you have knowledge about the Mesa Blanca, the Cuban style?
The Cuban style, I do. Yes, I do understand. It's very different. It's very similar to Puerto Rican style, but very different at the same time.
Can you share light with us, the light? What are the differences?
Well, the differences that I notice is that they use la boveda more so than the Puerto Rican. This is a boveda right here. They use la boveda, while Puerto Rican people, we use la mesa blanca, where there's no images, just un fuente espiritual, which is right behind me, un fuente espiritual,
Hmm.
and we give light to our spirits. Then we have a place where everyone who's passed away, usually this is a dying culture, but people would put pictures of their relatives, and they would put candles and water on that wall or whatever it may be, but that was just to honor their memory. You know what I'm saying? To speak to them, to pray to them. Um, this right here is for my guía espiritual, mi cuadro espiritual. This is what I use to despojarme, to cleanse, to pray,
Hmm.
to meditate, while the other place where it's for the people that I've known that passed away and my ancestors that I may have not known, that's just for me to talk to them and to elevate them, to give them light, to give them memory and remembrance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, a lot of people ask, on mesa espiritual,
Mhm.
ancestors, can we put food in there? Can we put coffee? What are the attributes that we can put in there? What things are we allowed to put in there?
Right.
I want to hear your perspective
I,
on
I
that.
didn't hear it because every time someone sends a message, it goes away. What was the question?
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of people ask, on a spiritual altar,
Yeah.
what are the attributes? For example, can we put arroz y frijoles, café, pan dulce, stuff like that?
Yo,
Could you share some light on
I'll
that?
be honest with you. I'm going to do a very Boricua, very Puerto Rican style. Our the and this is Puerto Rican style. I'm not disrespecting any other person's culture or tradition, the way they do it. Though I'm going to do it the way my family did it, the way my culture did it. And we traditionally, first of all, we do it on the anniversary of the person's death. If we remember the person's death, or
Hmm.
we do it on el Día de los Muertos, Noviembre segundo, where we give them su pan dulce, their bread, su cafecito, their coffee. If they smoke cigarillo, you put some cigarettes there. You put their flores, their flowers. Um, that's the only day that I feed them, my spirits. You know what I'm saying? Generally, on a general basis, I own me. This is just me. This is the way we were taught and the way I do it. I just generally give them luz y agua. Does that make sense to you? To
Hmm.
elevate them.
Yeah.
I don't want them stuck
Mhm.
with, I want my spirits to elevate to a higher plane of existence. And I don't, these things are materiales. These things ground us to the physical plane. And I don't want my spirits to be grounded to the physical plane. I want my spirits to elevate, to elevarse, to
Oh,
become
makes sense.
higher level
Makes sense.
consciousness of spirits. Yeah. It's like I have a
Hmm.
Santa
Oh.
devoción. I mean, I honor
Hmm.
her every day con su flores y with her flowers, with her candles. But on her feast day, her cumpleaños, is when I do something more special for that Santita.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's why, we make these videos here. So we share the knowledge with people because a lot of people ask those questions like, what is the right way? How should I do? And there's so many books out there, so many theories, that people don't know what tradition is,
Right.
what traditional style is. And
Exactly.
like you said, it's something that is dying and is not being practiced. And it's a shame because it's a beautiful
It is a beautiful
tradition.
tradition. It is. And it's dying
You
away.
know,
It's
it's
been dying away for a long time. And I respect religions. I'm not a religious person. I respect everyone's views, whatever religious. I'm spiritual, espiritual. I find it fascinating and beautiful how people worship in their religion. It's beautiful. I can be with un zapete de vudú. you know, because I just love the way people honor their spirits and worship Bon Dia, Papa Dios Todopoderoso. But my foundation, mi fundación, what am I? What is my people? What is my culture? What is my blood? What runs through my veins is how my family practices it, how my family practiced La Mesa Blanca. My abuela was a presidente de mesa. You know what I'm saying? And there's no book out there written today, not mine, not nobody's, that taught me what she taught. You know what I'm saying? No book can teach you that.
Yes, exactly. Like you can buy spirituality. There's a lot of
Right.
people that think they could buy that, or they could go get a book and the book is gonna tell them everything,
Yeah.
and the author is gonna know everything. It's like, no, this
Right.
is something that you were born with.
Exactly.
You know, there's something that we grab from abuelitas or abuelitos. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like me being Salvadorian, I practice it different.
Exactly.
You know, and nothing. It's there's no greater treasure than being traditional and
Right.
practicing what you were brought up with, not this new age stuff. I respect everybody, but when somebody writes a book and says this is the mesa espiritual and this is what you go on it, it hurts.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it hurts. Now, the difference between being what is a sansista? Could you explain this? A lot of people don't understand what a sansista is.
Sansa is a fairly new tradition. It is a subculture within a subculture within a subculture in Puerto Rican culture. And it is a mix of espiritismo with Haitian voodoo. And it started in the west of the island, I want to say Mayagüez, up around that area. During the times of the Haitian Revolution, many of the French came to Puerto Rico and they brought many of their slaves. And the slaves saw the similarity during this time, how Afro Puerto Rican or Jibaro, the Jibaro people, they honored their spirits. So from that was developed Sansa. And it's similar to, Sansa is in a similar sense to like Santerismo, when the Cubans came into Puerto Rico in the 60s, the wave of Cubans that came into Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico is a melting pot. Puerto Rico, that little island, is like the United States in the Caribbean. You see
Yes.
Puerto Rican, but you see Cubans, you see Haitians, you see Dominicans, you see everything. So when they bring those cultures into that little island, we adapt those spirits into our cultures. And I'm going to go a little bit further with this. We adapt that and we make it into our own. And that has gone on since the Spanish man came to Borinquen, Puerto Rico, which is my island, when the Spanish were bringing the Santos to the Taino, right? The Taínos saw these Santos and they venerated them like the Semi, like their spirit. So they incorporated the Santos into the Semismo, which is a Taino spirituality in the Caribbean. So this is part of a culture, you know what I'm saying? So Sanse, it's not so much like in voodoo where, well, if you know voodoo, you understand that if you go to Haiti, you have voodoo that's part of a societe. Societe is they have un templo, a temple. Then you have people who practice voodoo, which is more bosuale, more wild, more family tradition. They don't really participate in temples. They don't participate with ungans or mambos. They practice their spirits from their family line, from their ancestors. So that is very similar to Sanse. Sanse could be the equivalent of Brazilian Umbanda and Venezuela Maria Leonza. Very similar. It's very similar in the way that they do things.
So basically they could practice negative labor negativo y labor positivo, ¿no?
We try
Because
to,
a lot,
go ahead, go ahead. I'll
because I know that's one thing I like about you is that in the American culture, not putting the Americans down, they would use the word magic.
uh-huh,
You
uh-huh.
And for us, it's not magic, it's labor espiritual.
Exactly. Energías. There's energías calientes y energías frías. Hot energies and cold energies. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. So once again, and being a sansista, you can practice either, let's say, energías calientes and energías
Right.
frías, right?
Right.
So it's like a table where I know, but I want to ask the question so the listeners who understand. Is there like a spiritual table and you do everything on top of that spiritual table?
For my Sansa, you're talking about un altar de Sansa.
Yes.
Yes, I have un
Yeah.
altar de Sansa, and that's where I work los misterios in that tradition. Um,
Mm,
and then I have my Mesa Blanca, which is Espiritismo, completely separate from that. And then right here, para mi cuadro espiritual, which is a different, I know a lot of people say that's a lot. It is a lot. Um,
mhm.
this is, Espiritismo, Sanse, I've been doing this my whole life. I'm going on 50 years old. This is something that you wake up and you breathe. It is part of your culture. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like haciendo un arroz con gandules, we say in Puerto Rico, y prendiendo una vela a un santo a la misma vez. It's just part of who you are. You don't.
It's a sancocho.
Es un sancocho, and you just do it out of nature. You know what I'm saying? And you said it. You
Mhm.
said the key word is it is a sancocho because you see a Puerto Rican man here, but let's go deeper. I did my DNA test, and when I did my DNA, I'm like, wow, this sounds like my cuadro, because I got 20% Native American blood. To me, it's Taino or Arawakan, but then I got Celtic, and I
Mhm.
got German, and I got Southern Spanish, and that always interests me because I've got all these likes from these cultures, and I never understood why do I like Celtic music. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm supposed to like a salsa. ¿Tú entiendes? Supposed to like el merengue, but I like my Celtic music, and you'll hear that in my videos a lot. And that's just the way I honor my ancestors from that tradition. I don't leave what they believe behind. Does that make sense to you? If they honor
Yeah.
that religion, maybe I'm not part of that religion, but I will honor their memory and how they, I don't know if I'm making sense, but how they did that. I don't know if that.
So you also honor the Slavic religion, like for example Thor,
No.
Loki.
Yeah, I know about these religions. I've studied every religion and every religion. I mean, every religion, every spirituality, and I know about Thor, and I know about that. I know people who have what we call el cuadro bárbaro in their cuadro espiritual,
Mhm.
or un cuadro vikingo in their cuadro espiritual. I don't have in my cuadro espiritual. Me personally, I don't have espíritus of that nación. You know what I'm saying? I have
Mhm.
espíritus that are Indio. I have espíritus that are Celtic. I have espíritus that are from Europe. I have some from Africa. So then I honor that. But I can't force myself to prender una. I can't force myself to, how do I explain this? To light a candle to Thor, let's say Thor, if that doesn't connect with me, one, because it's not part of my culture, it's not part of my history, it's not part of who I am. There's no, but I know when I went to Venezuela, which la corte vikinga y los bárbaros, a lot of people do honor them. Not all Marialonceros, but there are people who have that blood within them.
Yeah, like Eric, the red, the Viking. I'm
Exactly.
sorry, I said Slavic. It's yes, now they're correcting me. Northern tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Was it's great. It's like um, a lot of people will have Aztecs, a lot of
Right.
people will have that Mayan tradition,
Right.
and going through history, a lot of the American Indians actually came through, from what I researched, came from the Mayans that spread it over within the United States.
Right.
Um, but it's a beautiful culture, but if you don't make it yours, if it's not personalized
Mm-hmm.
to you and honor that, it's like I think people get lost in that, and that's why they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a good santero, you can be a great palero, you can
Right.
be a good voodoo practitioner, but if you don't bring that culture, those ancestors to back you up, that spirit into you, um, you know, when you do, it's like opening a big door, and tus ojos se abren, and your eyes open,
Exactly.
and it's like different. So
Exactly.
I get excited. I get hyper just talking about this, because nobody understands me what I'm talking about.
Right. You're right. And what the one is that?
For example, we were making videos earlier about Santísima Muerte. I know you have some videos with Santísima Muerte, I think, or I believe a video of somebody that you did a reading that said you're the Santísima Muerte. Do you have any knowledge on Santísima Muerte?
I do because yo morí dos veces en mi vida. So
Say that in English.
I
Sorry.
passed away physically twice in my life.
Oh wow.
I've made that when I was born. I was born brain dead, and I was gone. They resuscitated me back to life. And then during the time I was old, um, I was going in and out. You know, I was going into the threshold. So I understand lo que es that energía de la muerte. You know what I'm saying? And I have a lot of respect for la muerte. La muerte exists in all cultures, in all religions. Every one of us, that santita or that energy is going to, let's say, mount us one day. You know what I'm saying? And when she mounts us, is the end of this, esta materia, this physical body, and she ushers you into what's next for you.
Oh, that's something interesting that you said, because a lot of people that I heard that work with the Santísima Muerte, they claim to mount her, and I'm like, how do you mount her? How do you handle that energy?
No.
Do you mount when she takes you away? But I'm like, that sounds crazy. Not that I don't believe it,
Uh-huh.
but like once again, when I tell that to people, they think they're crazy. I'm like, that's a strong energy. How can you mount her and then go and pretend that she's mounted on you and that you're gonna start doing things and you're gonna start curing people? That's like a crazy strong energy.
I live this is a Hispanic community, and so you have Puerto Ricans here, you have Brazilians, Dominicanos, Mexicanos, Salvadoreños, everybody's here. And I know people who venerate la Santísima Muerte. And actually, I have a godson who's Mexicano, and he has la Santísima Muerte. He has never, not once. I'm not saying all Mexicans don't, but he hasn't. When his spirits come down, he has a Niño Fidencio, which is a Mexican folk saying, and he's got spirits from his Cuadro Espiritual, which comes from his country. But I've never seen him mount la Muerte. La Muerte, when la Muerte is going to mount you, is cuando ya is the end of this materia. And that could be un espíritu, and I'm going to be honest with you, that could be un espíritu burlón, un espíritu atrasado. Burlón, I don't know how to say that in English. Un burlón, I don't even know how to say it.
A low vibrational spirit.
Huh?
Yeah. A low vibrational spirit.
A lower vibration spirit acting as that. And I'm not trying to disrespect no one here. You know.
Oh no, this video is not, we're not disrespecting, we just want knowledge, you know. People who have worked this, like you say, you've been doing this for almost what, 50 years, you know. So it's like you know what you're talking about. Compared to me, I've been doing this what about 35 altogether, you know. So I have my respects for somebody who's older than me, you know. And like me, I'm not just book knowledge, I'm experienced.
Right.
You know, I didn't pick up a book and then say, oh, I'm gonna learn this from the book and I'm gonna start. It's something that is born with you, and it's something that you were chosen to do. Like for example, when I do a limpia and I mount my indio, you know, and then I come back and I'm like, what the hell happened, you know? And that person is bebito coleando, he's happy like nothing, you know, and he's crying and he feels different. And then I'm like, I didn't do it. He did it. I never take, like, for example, how do you say, credit for something they do.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what people, don't understand how to work with that materia, you know. And the reason why we do these videos is so people understand what labor espiritual is, and that we don't call it magic.
Exactly.
You know. And now another question, in your which tables or spiritual altars would you recommend to have a spiritual legua or a spiritual caldero?
We do have a gatekeeper, un puertero, and it depends on the person's cuadro espiritual. You know, some people can have un elegua because that's what the cuadro calls for. Some people can have un santo, San Hilarión, San Pedro, St. Peter, to open up the doorways for the Spirit, Santa Clara. It depends on the person. It depends. Each person's cuadro espiritual is very different to each person. It's your cuadro is like your fingerprint. No one has the same. It's impossible. You know what I'm saying? So your cuadro is very different to you. And I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, yo tengo el negro Francisco." not all Africans were named, slaves were named Francisco, you know what I'm saying? I know people that do have some Francisco, but I know that some have Mateo, Jose, Felipe, you know what I'm saying? But each person's quadro is different. Now back to El Eguam. Everyone has un puertero. Everyone has a spirit que abre la puerta for those seres to come in. Everyone is born with that. Whether you accept that spirit in your life, we're drugged to not accept that. We're drugged with all these pills today to close that pineal gland to that world of the spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So another thing, Mr. Sancista, is when we talk about this is something that's very, people talk, and I'm not trying to put things out there.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to sexual preferences, who can be part of this? Like, for example, straight men, regular women, homosexuals.
En el mundo
I,
espiritual, in the world of spirit, there's no sexuality. The spirit has no penis or no vagina. We have a penis and we have a vagina because it's there for us to procreate. And just because you see a man standing here in front of you doesn't mean that I'm going to be a man in the next life or I was a man in the previous life. So in espiritismo, some of the greatest mediums, media unidades, and let's be honest, are the women. Native Americans call them two-headed people. They have the energy of el sol y la luna. You know what I'm saying? So some of the greatest media unidas, I'm not saying straight men aren't, because I know a lot of great espiritistas that are straight. But in el mundo espiritual, there's no sexual, we don't look at that. We look at how you respect yourself, how you present yourself in front of el público, and how you labora espiritualmente.
Yeah. Now I have Mr. Eric Colon. I did an interview with Mr. Eric Colon. He's saying, "Saludos, a Luis y Carlos. Saludos. Estamos comiendo." You can slide your phone, and you can slide your phone, and you can see the comments that people are
I'm
making.
blind as a bat, so.
Oh, okay. Now that you talked about, we were talking about that, which is great information. Because it's not like other religions. For example, like I know that in Ifa you have to be straight to go in there, and I know like in Palo you have to be.
Right.
And this is what I tell people. You don't have to be like. For example, I tell because they say, well, I have a Congo in my cuadro espiritual. I'm like, can you work your Congo? You don't have to go to Palo, but can you work it through espiritismo?
Right.
Could you have a spiritual pot that will work that Congo through espiritismo?
Right.
You don't have to be scratched and palo. I mean, could you give me your intake on that?
Well, I want to give a little bit of intake on that, because a lot of spirits people confuse. And if you're a media unidad that's not desarrollado, very high, everyone thinks that just because they have una africana with un pañuelo en su cabeza, es una madama. Todas son madamas. Y todos son Congo. There were cimarones. I don't know if you know what a cimarron is. There were cimarones. Yes. There were this. There were that. I have in my cuadro espiritual, we call them las negritas in Puerto Rico. Madama, that comes from la cultura cubana. In Puerto Rico, we say la negrita. For us, una madama es una doña of the house of the slave. The slave owner. Yes. She was like a high, you know what I'm saying? She would take care of the white man's babies. But not every spirit es una madama, you know what I'm saying? And not every spirit, even though it comes out bien agresivo, makes it un Congo, because there are a lot of espíritus that were cimarrones. Cimarrones were slaves who refused, period, point blank in the story, to be slaves. And so they would kill their masters, and they would hide in caves in Puerto Rico and Cuba, and wherever they were in Venezuela. And they lived in caves, and then they either met Native Americans or other Africans, but they lived separate. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if I went far from what we were talking about.
Oh, no, it's fine. The more information is fine, because this is what these educational videos are for. It's like I tell them, not because you get a gypsy. Hold on. Most black spirits from Puerto Rico, gente de monte, curanderos.
What was that?
It says, Eric alone says most black spirits from Puerto Rico, gente del monte y curanderos.
Are curanderos?
yeah, I don't know if you can elaborate more on that, Mr. Colon, but
Yeah,
it's like I'm I know you're eating, so I don't know. I understand the question. But for example, a lot of people, will say, you have a gitana, and it could be a gypsy, a gitana, but it could be something
it could
else,
be something else. You can have un árabe, una mujer árabe. You can have
Mhm,
una Egyptian. You know, sometimes the energy is confused. You know, the way they dance, the way those that feminine energy. Ah, rapidito es una gitana. As quickly as a gitana. Are you sure? Let's make sure here, because it could be un Egipto, a spirit was from Egypt. It could be an Arabian, a woman who danced. That Arabian culture. Not everything that, or it could have been una India from La India, from the continent of India.
mhm,
So it takes un espiritista. Espiritistas have become very lazy. And I'm not disrespecting anybody, please. I hate saying the words that I'm saying right now. But just like I said earlier, just because they say, ven una negrita, and first of all, I want to say to the African American culture, the word negrita and negrito has no bad, what's the word? Like in America, the N word, you just don't say it. We don't use that as a hateful word. So just because you have un espíritu en tu cuadro espiritual, just because you have a spirit in your cuadro espiritual that's African with un pañuelo doesn't make it a madama. It could be una
yeah,
conga, it could be una clava, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, exactly. Now, wow, this is fun. A lot of people are loving this. I see the
I
comments
want
here.
to add something to
Uh,
this. Can I add something to this? I have seen a lot of
the floor is yours.
I've seen a lot of atrocities con las madamas in the United States, where people are putting madamas in pots with chains. They're mimicking palo mayombe, which is or palo monte, the traditions from Cuba. What they're doing ignorantly is they're enslaving a person who was already a slave. You know what I'm saying? They're
Mhm.
trying to enslave a spirit. And I'm not
Let me go ahead and do something real quick. I'm gonna grab something, a pen and a paper. I'll let you go ahead and explain it. I'm just gonna step out of the camera. I'll let you go ahead and explain it. Go
yeah,
ahead.
a lot of people are they're placing madamas, and like if they were clavos, they were placing them in pots. You'll see them with chains. And this is, they're mimicking, you don't see this in Puerto Rico. You don't see this in Cuba. You don't see this in Venezuela, where you put a spirit within espiritismo. You don't put a spirit in a pot, like a caldero with a chain. Is something that we don't do. And I'm just waiting for him.
I'm coming. I'm coming. Sorry, I had to do something. My dogs are like crying. I have three chihuahuas, my babies. um, okay, I was doing. I don't know if you saw the video with Sancistas seven escrujadas.
Uh-huh.
She's another Sancista. And we were asked, and I want your opinion on this one. I know, actually, I think Mr. Colon asked,
Mm-hmm.
um, can you have a family member
Mm-hmm.
in your cuadro espiritual? Somebody who passed away from your family.
When someone passes away from our family, give me a second. Now my dogs are acting up. When someone passes away from our family, first of all, in the Puerto Rican culture, we give that spirit tiempo, usually un año after the death, after we bury it, after we give them las novenas, la novenita, to give that spirit enlightenment from whatever errors it may have passed away. Every spirit is very different. To elevate. Um, Usually when they pass away, and not always, because the world of spirit is so immense that every case is very
Mhm.
different. So I'm not going to say no, it doesn't happen. But most of the time, when you ever take off a pair of shoes that's so tight, and you take them off at the end of the day, it's like, oh my God, freedom. I don't want to put these shoes ever again. So you got to understand,
Mhm.
imagine when your spirit releases itself from this shell that's caused so much pain, that sometimes it doesn't want to come back to the shell for a while. You know what I'm saying? One, two,
Yes.
the world of spirit is not measured in the same way that we measure time in the world of living, in the world of materia. You know,
So there's no time in the spiritual world.
time is very different. It's a very different concept. You know, we created time in our concept to record, you know, things in the world of spirit that that doesn't exist. Time runs very different. It's a different dimension. So 5 years for me could be an eternity for a spirit, or it could be 5 seconds for a spirit. It depends on the spirit and the level of
Okay, I have a Jovi passed down from generation as a spirit who incarnated flesh. Her name is Doña Rafaela. She ran a temple. Hold on. She ran a temple in la calle Calma in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
She's just commenting.
Okay.
Okay, so should I stop giving my
Give me 1 second.
spirits?
Sorry, my dog.
Go ahead. So I mean, ask your questions, and I'll try to tell it and ask him and stuff. Once again, this are educational videos. So I have another comment here. Should I stop giving my spirits offering of food? Um, food, is that to keep them lower dimensional? Should I stick to
No.
other offerings that so?
My thing to that person who's asking that question, they have to follow the tradition of their family. They can't follow my tradition. I'm doing it the way I was taught, the way my grandmother did it. We gave our muertos, we always give our muertos, our seres, our guías, our espíritus, luz y agua. Luz para la claridad, and water to give them clarity. And on el Día de los Muertos, November 2nd, or depending on what part of the world you are, Mayo primero, which is another time when the veil is very thin and the spirits come to consume or to be close to us. That's when we give them las comiditas. Or let's say if we have una sesión espiritual, you give it cafecito, or say un tabaquito if it liked tabaquito when it was alive.
Yes, I think he has a phone call. When it gets a phone call, it freezes.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got frozen on your camera. You probably yeah.
But I'm still here.
Let me. I'm gonna get you out, and then you come back in. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Now here he is. I'm gonna put him back in.
Can you see me?
Okay, there you go. It happens when you're getting a lot of notifications or you're getting texts and stuff. It happens. It takes you out. But I mean, this is the fastest thing that it's on live time. People could message you and see you live, and then we'll add it to Facebook. Add it to your own page there. This question is here. This is all new information to me. I'm soaking it up. No questions. LOL. So a lot of people don't see this. This is why we do this, or I'm trying to do this series so people understand,
Right.
all this new information out there. So is there anything else that you would like to like share with us, your experience or anything? A lot of people ask, how do I get to see spirits? What can I do to see spirits? What can I do to, why can't I just join something and I can't see spirit?
Let me give you a good idea. And people think this is glorious. People think this is maravilla. If there is a heaven and if there's a hell, okay? I want you to understand this concept. If there's a realm of heaven, if there's a realm of hell, I see the spirits here more than I've ever seen here. You understand what I'm saying? And the spirits that I see are espíritu atrasado, spirits that are lost, spirits that are I see the peri spirit. I don't know if you understand the concept of the peri spirit, el peri espíritu. And at my age, sometimes I'm like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? One day I was actually this week I was walking with my godson, and sometimes I don't know if it's really alive or if it's a human person. And I said to my godson, Jeremy, do you see what I see? Because this man was literally walking like a zombie. And he had even the zombie, it was funny, it was a uniform, it was a drunk dude. I'm like, Jeremy, do you see what I see? He goes, no, don't worry about it, it's materia. You know what I'm saying? At one time, we had lost light in the house, and I went outside to smoke because I smoke my tabaquito here, but I don't, not the los cigarrillos. So I went outside to smoke, and I felt una presencia. And I call it my spider senses. Yeah, my spider senses start tingling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I always ask myself, es material or espiritual? Is it material or spiritual? Because I want to make sure I protect myself. If I have to protect myself physically, I protect myself physically, and spiritually, I protect myself spiritually. So then I cast my senses, mi ojo de brujo, for the energy around myself, and I felt it was una energía, it was an energy espiritual. And then I pinpointed where it was, and it was a shadow, una sombra, and my body felt troubled. It felt I was in danger, and there's two things you can do: fight or flight. And I'm a fighter. I'll stand my ground. So yo rápido, en el nombre de Dios, yo te reprendo. You know, se busca de la luz, find the light. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people say, "Oh, how can I open the eyes to the world of spirit?" You ever see those documentaries, Paranormal Activity, and the suffering that these people go through? That's candid coded to what it really is. You know what I'm saying? It is really like that.
Yes, I actually just watched those on Netflix with my girlfriend. Yeah, and they're like, I tell her when we watch, yes, it's almost like that, but they make it too much Hollywood, but it's almost like that,
It's almost
you
like
know.
that, exactly.
Um, it's almost, and it's like, I tell her, I used to like go smoke outside, and every time I go smoke outside, there was a kid that passed away that got hit in the car in the
Yes.
corner, and he, used to paddle his bike and screaming and go right past me, and would scare the living fart out of me,
They
and to this
they jump. They jump
and to
at you.
this day,
They jump at you.
yeah, and to this, I tell her I'm not used to it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get used to it. It's because they get you when you least suspect.
When
It's like, boom, I'm here. It's like they mess with you,
mm-hmm.
Um, so there was another question. Can I practice? I don't know. Are you an Ocha?
No, no, no. I did receive my collares and I received my guerreros in Ocha,
Okay.
and that's the part
Yeah.
I went with.
Well, I don't know if Mr. Colon is still watching this because there was a question. Can I practice hoodoo and then practice santeria? Unless you want to tackle it.
Hoodoo and practice Santeria.
Yes, Ocha.
They would have to go to their padrinos, their godfather, and get their godfather or their madrinas advice on that. You know what I'm saying? Hoodoo for us is brujeria. You know, everything that you see in hoodoo is brujeria hispana. It's the same thing. So if if el templo de Ocha does not practice brujeria, then you got to do what your godfather and your godmother direct you to do. That's what they're there for.
So there's a question here. I was curious if the glass of water put on the table for the spirits is also stated somewhere in Allan Kardec's codification.
Uh-huh.
I read online that this practice comes from Allan Kardec
Uh-huh.
spiritism, but I struggle finding it in the book.
Okay, what was the question again?
I'm curious, estoy curioso si el vaso de agua que se pone en la mesa para los espíritus está en el libro de Allan
No,
Kardec.
it's not in the codification of Espiritismo. Actually, el agua comes from more from our African, from our Taino roots. If you understand, and the Indian roots of, because you understand the Espiritismo that I practice is not Caldesianismo by far. What I practice is criollo, which would be like cruzado. You understand what I'm saying? My espiritismo has its African roots and it has its Taino roots. And a lot of what you see behind me has a lot of influence because espiritismo was not created by Allan Kardec. You see what I'm saying? Humans have
Amen.
always interacted with spirits. You know what I'm saying? Socrates believed in the world of spirits. Plato's believed in the world of spirits. Jesus, the Rabbi Jesus, spoke with Elijah and Moses on the mount. You know what I'm saying? Every culture, there's mediums. Some mediums, Terry, he's a medium in his Cuban and Japanese, but he doesn't put water to his spirits. He does different. That's the way they do it in their culture. In my culture, we do put the agua.
Mhm. Um, but for example, let's say you're yeah, well, it's common sense. I understand, but the viewers don't understand.
Uh-huh.
For example, can you practice espiritismo and add, like, for example, Lakshmi? Can you add that like the Hindu spirits in there, like Vishnu? What is it, Lord Vishnu? And
My question to the person is, do you love these spirits? Because every spirit that's in my cuadro espiritual, I love them. Yo le tengo un cariño. I have this deep love for them. They are my family. And they might not have the physical flesh like my physical family here today have, but I treat these spirits like I treat my physical family, with love and with respect. I don't want to have something in my altar to collect dust because everyone is using this. Let me put it there. It makes no sense to me. I have to have a connection, and I have to have this deep love and understanding. And when I love something, ask anyone who knows me, when I love something, when I'm intrigued by something, I do 100% research. I have to know everything about it. Why? You know what I'm saying? So I don't put nothing on my altar that makes no sense. Now, if that person has un cuadro espiritual, let's say there's Hindu, because I know espiritistas that have cuadro Hindu, and they do have espíritu Hinduce. You know what I'm saying? But I know people that are espiritistas that don't have un cuadro hindú, but they have un cuadro africano or un cuadro taíno. I know espiritistas that they just don't feel connected con los santos. They just don't have that in their cuadro espiritual. Then so it depends on your cuadro espiritual. Everybody's cuadro is unique to yourself.
Exactly. It's a personal relationship with your spirits and with the la luz que camina contigo.
Exactly.
Now, the other question I always get asked, why the cross? You know,
La
um,
cruz.
why do we add the cross? For example, I have my cross inside over there. Why do we add the cross? And my question to that is, what I come from a Catholic
Right.
background.
But
And that's like my abuelita, my abuelito, and stuff like that. Isn't necessary. Like, I know I have a lot of Muslims that ask me that, or I have a lot of Jews that ask me this. It's necessary to add the cross.
Well, espiritismo, the way we practice in Puerto Rico, you got to understand that it has a lot to do with, yes, it has its African roots and it has its Taino roots. I'm sorry, lost my brain for a second there. But espiritismo, el Caldesiano was brought to Puerto Rico to practice, to go to school, to go to colleges. They brought espiritismo, Caldesianismo to Puerto Rico. And Caldesiano, if you read the Gospels, the codes of Espiritismo, and I'm going to go further than that. Now, yes, Espiritismo, not espiritualismo, Espiritismo. You see what I'm saying? Espiritismo, if you read all the books of Allan Kardec, he teaches you about Rabbi Yeshua and how to live by his moral and his conduct. You understand what I'm saying? Trabajamos con la caridad, con el amor, con la fe, con la esperanza, love, peace, charity. But a lot of people confuse espiritismo with espiritualismo. Spiritism with spiritualism are two different things. Both of us can see the world of spirits. Both of us can interact with this world of spirits. The only thing different with espiritismo and espiritualismo is that espiritismo, we view Rabbi Yeshua as one of the greatest media unidades, espiritistas for us, un brujo, for us. And so we try to live by his code of conduct. He only showed love and he showed respect and he showed, does that make sense to you? So the
Yes.
cross has a lot of symbology, and it's older than Christianity. And you will see the cross in ancient African cultures. You will see the cross in ancient Chinese cultures. The cross represents, first of all, the four cardinal points of the universe, represents the four elements. But the cross in itself, the figure of that man there, represents that it's a spiritual representation of he's going to die. He's leaving his materia, and he's going to resurrect. He's going to come back. He's going to reincarnate. Resurrect means reincarnate. So the spirit is reincarnated. You see what I'm saying? So la cruz to us represents, it's a symbol of the four elements, the four cardinal points of the universe, and our constant birth and death, birth and death.
Now I'm gonna skip a little bit because this is another thing is why the word brujo, like brujo Luis.
I can't hide. I can't hide. I'm a brujo. You know what I'm saying? I can't. You know, a lot of people say I was called that from the chiquitito, from a little kid, el brujito. I was always into magic and candles, and the moment I saw the Wicked, I know this sounds crazy. The moment I saw the Wicked Witch of the West, I was like, I was on her side. All she wanted was the shoes. Brujo to me has its ancient roots in shamanism. Everything that we practice today, every religion comes from the ancient shamans, the shamanes. You understand what I'm saying? So when I use that word brujo, I use it with pride and respect for my curanderos, those santiguadores who came before me. You know, brujo has gotten a bad rep, like any other religion, like any other spirituality. We've gotten a bad rep. And if you read the Bible, the witch of Endor, who was a media unidad, you know what I'm saying? She was a medium as well, and she did caridad for that man. I forgot his name. It's left Saul, I think his name was. She did la caridad for him in the Bible. It's there. People say that's the diablo, but we see it totally different. So I use the word brujo because that's who I am. It's in my. I can't scrub it off. You know, es como la mancha de plátano. You know what I'm saying? It's in who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I understand that perfectly, but because there's a belief system out there that's being taught that you cannot do brujeria and espiritismo.
Well, you know, it's funny.
It's supposed to be just after light.
Yes, because that's those people who are, and I'm not disrespecting Caldesianismo, you know what I'm saying? But let's go further before Caldesianismo came to Puerto Rico, to Cuba, and all to that. La media unidades, the people who came from Africa, or those beiques are shamans in the Caribbean, who mounted the spirits, they were viewed as brujos. They were burnt. The first witch burnings, they were not hung. You know, I said this in one of my videos prior. The first witch burnings in the Americas happened in Puerto Rico in 1503, and it was of an African woman of Yoruba descent who had a spirit within her stomach, and that spirit would come and she would mount that spirit. And she was viewed by the los cristianos, like a bruja, una bruja, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there are people who say you can't be a espiritista and you can't be a brujo. Go to Puerto Rico, go to Puerto Rico, and I don't care how much you try to hide it. Go to Puerto Rico and go to un templo, un centro in the rural islands, and you'll see they are brujos. They do their mesa blanca, they do their, you know, las oraciones and all that, but then they have the trabajo espirituales where they light candles, where they do trabajo espirituales for the client, you know, on the side.
So is Allan Kardec the same material as Madame Blavatsky?
You know, I've never read Madame Blavatsky, and I'm dying. Believe it or not, I've never read her book, but so I can't really comment on her because I just never read her comic. So I can't really answer that part. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. There was another question that I asked before. I mean, these are typical questions. I answer them too, but you know, it's always good to have a second opinion. Can I bring Buddha into Espiritismo? Can I practice with Buddha and bring him into Espiritismo? So it's just questions, you know, that I have to ask.
Buddhism? You mean Buddhism?
Yes.
There's this way that I do incorporate Buddhism into my Espiritismo. When I wake up in the morning, and you know, I wake up in the morning from whatever it may be, and I sit down outside quiet and I drink my coffee and I'm mindful of my surroundings. I'm not thinking about nothing. I'm mindful, I'm alive, I'm in the presence, I'm here, you know what I'm saying? And I breathe and I meditate, and I might say maybe I might say a prayer that day, a Catholic prayer. Maybe I might say a Buddhist chant. So people can incorporate that that mindfulness of Buddhism into Espiritismo.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot of information there. So, real quick before we finish this, I know you have a lot of things to do, and I'm pretty sure you're tired too.
No, I'm cool.
Um, okay. Siete Sayas.
Siete Saya. Uh-huh.
Could you give us a deeper meaning of what Siete Sayas is?
Siete Saya depends on the spirit, because a lot of spirit could be I don't have that spirit in mi cuadro espiritual, but there are some gitanas that could be called siete sayas, and then you have some congas that are siete sayas. You know what I'm saying? And your cuadro espiritual, you got to understand that all your spirits in your cuadro espiritual are emissaries to your ángel de la guardia, to your santo patronal. And some people call it my guardian angel, my orisha, or whatever it may be. So all your spirits are emisarios to that, to those angels, to that angel, to the higher level spirit that connects you to God, to Dios. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
Siete Saya for one person might be completely different for another person, because that's that person's espíritu. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying, Luis, if I pass away, is every Luis the same? No, every Luis is different. We will have the blueprints of our life in the world of spirit. So Siete Saya, it depends on when your padrino, when your person reads your cuadro espiritual, or let's say if you're in a sesión or a velada and that spirit manifests.
Okay. Now, how would people, Luis, how would people that want to find out about their spiritual quadrant or who's in there, what's the procedures?
A lot of people, we were taught that one thing as being a mediunidad, you'll notice the lighthouse in a lot of our books of Espiritismo. Mediums are rayos de luces. We are like a beacon of light in this darkness of ocean, and many times spirits are attracted to that light, which is the aura of our body. And sometimes you just feel this strong connection to this spirit. And then some people just don't have a connection to spirit whatsoever. They want to know who their cuadro espiritual is. So they often go to a sesión, they go to a velada, and then you have all these mediunidades, and someone will say, tú tienes una gitana, her name was this way. They give you a history, and this is what she was like. And then the spirit will give what we call una evidencia about that person that nobody else knows, to show that that spirit's always been with that person. The spirit has to give una evidencia, evidence, proof that that spirit is with this person.
What do the spirits appreciate the most that you can do for them?
Give them water and give them light. Give them water and give them light. You got to look at the world of spirit as a pyramid, okay? The lower level spirits, and there's 3 levels of spirits, and within these 3 levels they're broken down. But from the lowest, the heavy, it's like a pyramid. The stones on the pyramid are heavier than the top, and we want to elevate these spirits in a triangle form. We want to elevate them. So the best thing that you can do for your spirits when you're starting out is giving them water and giving them you will understand one thing I want to tell people. When you open the world, when you open the door de los muertos, del mundo de los muertos, that door is not easily closed. And you got to be careful who you call, because when you call, and bulones, atrasados can come. And many atrasados can come and act like un espíritu de luz. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, this answer, because we're talking about Espiritismo, so in Mayombe and Palo is different.
Mm-hmm.
The way we treat the Enganga, or the way we treat the spirit of the Enganga, is way different than Espiritismo. Mm-hmm. Unless you want to say something about Mr. Luis about that.
It's very different, I'm sure. Yeah, they're 2 different traditions completely.
Yeah. So if a person will come and say, you know what, I'm interested in being an espiritista. Well, the word being is kind of hard to have, but to start practicing that tradition, what would you recommend for them to take those steps? How those,
Develop their dones espiritual and open that eye to the world of spirit. I've never heard someone say, I want to be an espiritista. I didn't want to be an espiritista. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be a normal person. Desarrollar, develop that connection with the world of spirit, and understand that as an espiritista, our job is to, whenever we see a lower level spirit, I can tell you gazillion stories, we need to address that spirit, let that spirit know, you're stuck in la materia, and learn to not, as we say in Puerto Rico, no todo que brilla es oro. Not everything that shines is gold, right? Many of us, I do attract a lot of lower level spirits, but I have my faith in my cuadro espiritual that they do protect me and they do defend me. I have faith in God and my ángel de la guardia. And my question was, what was the question again? Because I want to make sure I answer that.
The question was the steps into going into practicing.
Un templo espiritual, you were part of a centro espiritual, and you are part of a público. You just don't wake up one day, you don't go to one session, one velada espiritual, one misa, and ya you are un espiritista. No. Many media unidades are not even espiritistas. You know what I'm saying? Many people that see the world of spirit are not even mediums. They don't want to be mediums. They just see the world. Un centro, un templo espiritual, have someone to help you desarrollar your faculty, develop your faculty, and to elevate.
Okay. All right. Another thing that's going around, I mean, and I'm pretty sure you heard of it living in that area, because it's about, you're going into Ocha, and now they want to crown your cuadro espiritual,
Right.
Is that something that you do
In
in your
Sansa, they
practices?
do is una coronación espiritual, which is similar to Santeria. But what we're doing is we're elevating your spirit, de tu cuadro espiritual, to a state of santoness, santo, algo bello, something beautiful. But also it also depends on the medium's development. The medium has to develop, because the truth says that you could tell a fruit by its tree. You know what I'm saying? Si el árbol, if the tree's podrido, the fruit's going to be podrida. So we have to always constantly strive to develop, to help, to grow, to learn. And as we grow, as we develop our not, as human beings, but also our spirits grow, our spirits elevate.
Okay. Now, just to answer this, the cuadro espiritual is like a spiritual quadrant.
Yeah.
It's it's
Spiritual
like,
friend.
imagine yeah. So it's the spirit that are in your spiritual quadrant, like a square quadro,
Yes.
like a frame.
It's like,
So it's not a caldero.
no.
It's a spiritual quadrant. Just to do that. Now, before we do this, could you tell us what is the representation of, for example, the centerpiece and then the cups around it and the mesa?
That's very Cuban. That comes from Cuba. In Puerto Rico, you only have one fuente espiritual, and then where you keep your like your pictures, like I said earlier, your pictures of your aunts, tu abuelita, those people that may have passed on. You give them their agua, and you give them their candle. Now, in Espiritismo Cruzado and all that, they have the center fuente. This is called the fuente, so the goblets. They have a center fuente, which represents el gran poder de Dios. God for us is God in every religion, every culture. There's only one God. You can call God whatever you want, but there's only one God. And then every cup represents a spirit in your cuadro espiritual. And that is only to honor and give your spirits light and clarity and Let me get this one back for me. That's to give your spirits light, to honor, because each one of those cups represents un espíritu y otro cuadro espiritual. In Espiritismo Puerto Rico, you can see las burbujitas here. Most of the time, we use el fuente. This is called the fuente espiritual because as mediums, we're always attracting lower level entities. And so the water becomes a conduit for us to, when we pick up those spirits, to place into the water so they can go into the world of spirit where they need to go. So this fuente I use to cleanse, to purify. And if you go to a temple in Puerto Rico, you will always see a fuente. And when we start las sesiones, we start la misa, we start la velada espirituales. And depending what the session, it's very deep. The fuente has a different purpose. Sometimes you will see a person who has witchcraft on them. In Puerto Rico, witchcraft often is by a negromancero or a muertero. A muertero is a person who works spirits to harm other people. So what they do is they make a contract with the spirit to harm a person. And then this person has a causa. We call this espíritu de causa in Puerto Rico. So this person comes to a media unidad, and we try to remove that causa from the person, take the causa into our body. Why is the spirit hurting the person? Why is the spirit causing this problem in the person? And then the media unidad spirits try to remove that spirit, place it into the water, and try to take it to, I know this is going to sound crazy, to la escuela espiritual, saying, as we say in Puerto Rican Espiritismo, so it can learn to be educated, so it can learn from the errors of its ways. And it's very deep.
Oh, wow.
It goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper than that. I mean, that's going to open up more questions, trust me.
Yeah, I mean, I know. We just want to give them, the little details and stuff. And that's why you have all those videos to explain that.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that you can do witchcraft practicing espiritismo. It's like, no, you can't. It's just off the light and stuff like that.
One
I'm
thing
like,
that
well,
I do, my grandmother always told me, tú naciste brujo, vas a morir brujo. You got to accept what you are, But I work, even la brujería blanco. My clients, you cannot call me and say to me, I want you to hurt this person. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to ensuciar mi altar, ensuciar what I've worked so hard to elevate. That's me personally. I will help you if you're bothered by a troublesome spirit. I will counsel you if you feel someone's throwing witchcraft, how to remove that from you. I will give you a spell or un trabajo espiritual, as we say in Puerto Rico, to remove the negative magic. We will give you a cleansing bath, but I don't use mi brujería para hacerle to do me. This is me, because I know some espiritistas they do, but me, I don't do that. I work my altar puro y blanco. You know what I'm saying? And I never,
yeah.
ever, period, point blank in the story, do I do brujería right there. That's not what this is for. You know what I'm saying? This is all. Has its purpose. And my dining room table where I'm supposed to be eating, that's where I do all my bañito, mi resguardo.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, but I just wanted them to understand that there are people that do that on top of their table, you know, that try to do evil on top of that using those lower vibrational spirits.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, hacer el pacto con el espíritu de
The
bajo,
bajo astral,
de bajo
bajo
nivel.
niveles,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So it's not, you gotta watch out for that because it doesn't mean that you can. And there's a lot of people out there that have bad hearts,
Mm-hmm.
and you piss them off. And a lot of people, unfortunately, join these practices because they want to be badass brujos and they want to be doing evil stuff, not understanding that what you're doing is dirtying
Right.
your cuadro espiritual.
What's
You
interesting
know.
is that I've been to Santo Domingo, I've been to Venezuela, Colombia. Um, the most similar thing is when I went to Venezuela, they practice Maria Leonza, which is their form of espiritismo, that they have los espiritistas. They think just because they see, like I said earlier, el cuadro vikingo or el cuadro vikingo, los bárbaros, or
Bárbaro, yeah.
el cuadro calle that all espiritistas have that, or all Maria Lenceros do. Not really. Most of them, when they see that, they know that those espiritualistas use those spirits either to break black magic, to break a curse, or the spirit, you know what I'm saying, can right a wrong, you know, in its own way, you know.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those videos where they cut the little knife and they
Yeah,
the
those
blade and they
we
cut
don't
their
do that.
tongue.
That we don't do that in our. We don't allow un espíritu to hurt la materia. La materia is the physical body.
Mm-hmm.
We don't allow that. And if you go to Venezuela and you go to the people who go to la montaña del Sorte, you will never see un banco. That's what they call una mediunidad. You will never see un banco do that. You will see them. Those are those people who their cuadro are very vikingo, and those spirits are very aggressive, agresivo. They're very fire energy, caliente.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's a lot of good information. So, any questions, guys, before we wrap this up? I don't want to take too much time of Mr. Luis. We are in a different time zone. Right here is very early, still like 9 o'clock. So, Houston time. Would you like to invite them to your YouTube channel? What's the name of it? So, if
My
they have
YouTube is
any.
Sancista Luis. There you see that I just do espiritismo. Times where I do espiritismo. You'll see me do un trabajito, a candle, and just talk. Sometimes I just do reviews. It's just my journey of who I am, where I am at this stage of my life. I'm always growing. I'm always developing. So this is where I am right now. I try very hard not to talk about religion. I don't like to use the word magical journey, but I guess my magical journey.
Okay. Yeah, guys, for those who are interested, because I talk about a lot of Florida water, homemade Florida water. He has a recipe how to make Florida water there. He has a recipe how to make alcoholado.
Mm-hmm.
He has recipes how to make spiritual baths. He has songs there too,
Mm-hmm.
that you can,
Salmos.
also play.
Yes.
Uh, yeah. He has different divination stuff because a lot of people don't believe that you can do divination in your spiritual quadrant you know. So he has different divination things there. I believe you have a book out there too, right?
I do, which I've never read my own book. I need to read my book,
Wow.
and I want to do another. I want to do a second version because not a second version, yeah, a second book, because I know there's so much I haven't answered. There's so much that I've only touched the tip, a little bit of a tip of the iceberg of what of being a medium, a channeler, you know, and of different vibrations of spirits from the lowest level to the highest level. So I want to do a book where I go deeper into that.
Now, is channeling the same as espiritismo?
Channeling, canalizando a spirit. Yeah, canalizando un espíritu when we channel a spirit. You know what I'm saying? Cuando montamos un muerto, cuando montamos un espíritu.
Okay, no, there's other people that say, like they'll sit down on the table or on a chair and they say they're channeling, for example, Jesus Christ,
Right.
or they're channeling Lucifer, and they say they're speaking by them, but it's not mountain, it's not montado,
Oh yeah,
like they have the
there's
spirit.
certain. Yeah, I do that a lot of times where I can speak to a person and I'm not physically mounted by the spirit, but I can hear them. I can, like I told you earlier, when I was little and I saw that spirit, I can see. I try to shut it off because I don't want to sound like the Long Island medium, but sometimes it's so strong, and I'm like, listen, you got a message from the world, de los seres, de los espíritus, and that's cuando yo canalizo that energy and I relay the information they're giving me for that person. But I don't want to montar all the time because in Puerto Rico, it was believed, and this is another thing that's dying, that every time tú monta un muerto, you lose 3 gotas de sangre, you lose 3 drops of blood, because it's taking your energy. You know what I'm saying?
It does.
Yeah, it's very hard on la materia. So When I do montar un muerto, es una sesión, una velada, but on a general basis, I just listen to the spirit and what the spirit wants me to tell that person.
Yeah, a lot of people think that it's fun, mounting. Like, for example, when I mounted Cobayende, San Lázaro,
Mm-hmm.
it comes down hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mounted him a few times.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down hard, but then after that, I'm aching. And I don't want to get out of bed for three
It's
days
hard on la
and my
materia.
bones hurt. Yeah.
And when a lot of people say, when I hear the word, I'm working with my spirit, how are you working with your spirit? Because los muertos nos laboran more, they labor us more than, you know what I'm saying? When we come out of that, we are done. You know what I'm saying? We have to take 2 days to recover. The body is drained to capacity where you can't think, you just want to lay down and do nothing,
Yeah.
A lot of people, you feel sick. You really feel sick and drained. And a lot of people make it more glamorous than what it is. It's not. It's not. It's really hard on la materia. It's really hard on the physical body.
Just before we end, and I keep saying that, what was the worst experience you had with that? If you can share with us.
So many, so many, so many, so many. Worst experience with espiritismo? Or
With mounting.
with mounting, it wasn't actually me. I've had so many, but one of the most powerful ones is we had gone to, I was invited to a sesión to be the presidente. Not a sesión, it was a misa espiritual. I was invited to a misa. Sesión and misas are two different things. I was invited to a misa to be el presidente de mesa. And when I was there, something caught my eye to a 13-year-old girl. And I felt this espíritu de causa on her. Very strong spirit. And I remember I said we're gonna start, make sure everyone cleanses, but I want that young girl to cleanse the last. Something told me, listen to that, make sure that girl cleanses the last. So we all did, las oraciones, everyone came to cleanse. And then the mother ushered that 13-year-old little girl to the fuente to cleanse, and you can see she started shaking. And then
Wow.
her physical body changed, and she started foaming in the mouth, and she started convulsing. And we had to pray over this girl. We did a círculo de oración and blah blah blah. She became very violent. This 13-year-old girl, there was me and another gentleman, and two of my goddaughters were there. This 13-year-old little girl tossed us around like rag dolls. She had the strength. It was crazy. And we were there 3 hours, orando, trying to sacar ese espíritu from that little girl's body. And we did. We were all exhausted after that. And I don't want to go too personal because it's a very personal story.
Yes.
Really deeply personal. But I remember that after the 3 hours, laborando, working. That's how we work at Espiritismo. That's how we work the spirit. That's working the spirit. 3 hours working that. Can you imagine how that is to our physical body? The prayers, kept changing stuff kept coming out of her biles. We call it biles in Spanish. Bile. 3 hours of all this, and all of a sudden, she became this little girl again. She went to the altar and she cleansed herself. Wow. Had no recollection of what happened. And we finished the misa, and she said, "Can I have the flowers on the altar?" And we gave it to her. Una niña, you know what I'm saying? We gave it to her. And then I went to the mother and I said, I had to give her evidencias where that spirit came from. You know what I'm saying? How did that spirit attach itself to this poor young little girl who had gone through what we call in Puerto Rico, I guess it's like a soul loss, un trauma in su vida, or something in her life that caused a trauma that opened in her aura that spirit to manifest.
Un espanto.
Un espanto, yes.
Yeah.
And that was the closest thing in my mind, and I've been through more than this. And I'm going to tell you one more story because this one I want people to understand. But that was the closest thing to an exorcism that I've ever did. Because I was saying all the prayers in el libro de Allan Kardec para esos espíritus bulones, and nothing, that spirit didn't want to hear it. And then I said, I need la oración de San Miguel. I need to, you know what I'm saying? And we had to work it. There was one other time when I worked, and I want people to understand, when we say laborando los espíritus, this is not a game, this is not a joke, okay? A lot of people think, and you can ask all my godchildren, I'm always tired. And so I don't know where my energy comes from because I pull it from somewhere. But there was one misa espiritual where we were working una causa for this person from Trinidad, and he had a spirit de palo, okay? And I didn't know he had this spirit from the una prenda, you know what I'm saying? This
Mayombe, yeah.
yes, he was Spanish, he had, you know, so the spirits, we were trying to work this person had this espíritu bien agresivo, bien atrasado, and I said, you know, this guy is lying to me. I'm gonna bajar one of my spirits because this guy's he's not telling me something here. So one of my Papa Candelo came down, and Papa Candelo was very angry with the man, and he said, "You've been lying to la materia. You've been lying to el caballo. You have something under there. What do you have under there? Under the stairs, I guess he had this closet. He goes, what do you have under there that has been years since you have not fed?" And the guy, I guess the guy is like, oh, wow. And that's all Papa Candelo said. I came out and the guy showed me la prenda. And I said, when did you receive la prenda? And he goes, I received it 6 years ago. I said, when has that prenda been fed? Now, I'm not a palero. And he says, it's been years. I said, that espíritu is hungry. And you're not feeding that spirit. You made un pacto con ese espíritu in that religion. So I'm not a palero. I'm going to try. Where's your padrino? He said, I lost contact with my padrino, whatever it may be, blah, blah, blah. I said, I cannot feed that for you because that's not my religion. But you need to, because you made un pacto you made a pact with that spirit. And now, since you're not feeding that spirit, it's eating you alive. And it's going to eat you alive. It's going to eat your family alive. It's going to separate you. So maybe I did wrong, but I sent him to a palero because that is not my, forte.
Yeah.
On our way home, and I want people to understand, my way home, this was from Boston to Lowell, where I live in Massachusetts, 45-minute drive. It was me and my godson. And my godson was driving, and I felt my soul ripping from my body. And it felt like that. Oh my God, Giovanni. I was like, Giovanni, take me home. Don't talk to me. I'm going under. I feel like I'm leaving my spirit is leaving my body. And he said, Padrino, we're almost home. We're almost home. I said, I just get me home. I can't breathe. It was ripping out of my vector. It was the worst feeling. I remember I got into the house. He walked me in. I opened the refrigerator, and now, mind you, when we did this to this gentleman, that man, when I worked Papa Candelo, he didn't give us ni un pedazo de pan, not even a piece of bread.
Oh, wow.
Not even a piece of.
Wow.
You there? Okay. So I got home and I swear to God, I drank un galón de agua de naranja, orange juice. Cogí mi 4711, me despojé, I started cleansing, I went to the bath. I prayed to God, to all my espíritus, ayúdame, if I'm going to die, let me die in my bed, let me get to bed. But that was a hard situation. So when a lot of people say, I work my spirit, work is not meant to be, easy. Espiritismo is not easy. They work us. Los espíritus nos montan. You know what I'm saying? We are bancos. So I'm sitting on a bench, and this bench is holding all my weight. Imagine me holding all the weight of the spirit. It does a toll on the body.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that Apollo spirit is yeah, it's not something that you take lightly.
You don't take lightly, and I understand that. And I said to him, I can't help you here, but I said, when was the last time this was fed? And he said, years. And I said, I can't. I don't have la licencia, the authority to help you here. All I can do is, where's your padrino? Blah, blah, blah. We lost contact. I don't know, whatever it was. I said, I'm going to find someone in Boston and see what he says, how he's going to help you there. That is out of my jurisdiction. I guess that's the best word I can say. That's out of my jurisdiction. But my Papa Candelo told me, and me, he was hiding something from me. That's why he was suffering that lower level entity. Because this man was throwing himself on the floor, tirándose, hitting himself and pulling his hair. It was strong. And we were there hours and hours trying to help this man. And I'm like, I couldn't remove this causa from this person. And I said, I'm going to bring uno de mis misterios, one of my loa. Maybe the muerto can see, my misterio can see what I can't see, what my physical body, my physical eye can't see. So when Papa Candelo came down, he was very aggressive, Papa Candelo, and he said, what are you hiding from el caballo, la casilla? That's what they call it. Why are you hiding from la casilla over there that you're not telling him? Because you're lying to him.
Yeah, just to let people know, el caballo is the horse, because they call us the horse because they mount us, and yeah, they ride us, like a horse. So it's just like you said in the beginning, either you run or you fight. And as a spiritistas, we fight.
We are there for hours. My grandmother, Dios la bendiga, la acompañe en el reino de Dios. She would be there en el templo espiritual bendito. I don't know how my grandfather did it. She would be there, and they had 8 children. She would be in the templo from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening. Not doing sesiones, laborando, despojando, limpiando, giving spiritual advice. And this is a lot of work.
Yes, it is. So that's why I tell people, you want to practice this, make sure that's what you want. Put your pants on the right way and go in there. And it doesn't matter if you're going with different prayers, whatever you believe in, Catholic prayers, whatever, we fight, because that's our job. We are the light, and that's why we were chosen for, to battle the things, to fight the things. And even though a lot of us sometimes make offers to them and say, well, come here and work with me and stuff like that, I'll take you home, whatever, but I don't want to get too deep into that.
Right.
Yeah, I should have kept my mouth quiet there. But lo embotellamos y vámonos, papá, but anyways, anything else, Luis, before we call it a night?
That's it, I guess. Yeah, you can follow me on YouTube, Sancista Luis, and I have my book, Luz de Progreso, which I thought was only going to sell 5 copies. I'm surprised it's gone. And I only wrote that in like 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even edited. What you see is how I wrote it and put it out there, thinking I was only going to sell 5 copies. If I had known today that it was going to sell as much, as I would have gotten a better editor. So pick up my book on Amazon.com, and I don't really like to promote myself. Yeah, it's very hard for me to promote myself.
Well, it is, because as an espiritista, we learn to be humble.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to promote myself. But you can check me out in YouTube, Sancista Luis. And I do, like I said, I talk about espiritismo, I talk about my brujeria, I talk about my culture, I talk about my history, I talk about things from my spirits. I don't talk about religion. I respect all religions. I think the way people honor God and their spirits are beautiful. And I've met people who practice Satanism who are the coolest people. I don't judge. You know what I'm saying? Allá tú con tu cosa. Cada cabeza es su mundo. Every head is their own world. You know what I'm saying? As we say in Puerto Rico. So when you see my channel YouTube, you'll see espiritismo, you'll see a little bit of Sansa sometimes. And those people who are in these traditions will understand what I'm talking about, where the craziness that I'm putting out in the video, because it makes sense in
Yes. Yeah, it makes sense to those who understand it, but if you don't have a knowledge and understanding it, it's hard, that's why there's videos are made for.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyways, thank you for your time, Mr. Luis.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Luz en Progreso, and may you have many blessings, and muchas mucha luz, so you can keep going and teaching the new age
Hmm.
people that the new generation coming, and don't let it die. Don't let it
Yeah, it's
die.
sad because it's a
You know,
dying tradition. It is a dying tradition, but yo soy un misionero, and I will do what I gotta do to make sure that what my grandmother and her grandmother and her has doesn't die out. You know what I'm saying?
because actually you're the only one out there, other than what's the girl's name, Sancista Siete Encrujadas, that's starting to make more videos.
Right.
You're the only one out there putting that material. I had my channel, Espiritista Jose, but I was like, you comment a few things there, but people just got me sick. It
Yeah,
just, yeah.
I'm a strong. Yeah, a lot of people comment. I have a strong skin, a strong shell. Um, it yo no soy tan sensitivo. You can call me whatever you want. As long as you don't say it in my face with a fist, then there's no problem. You can say whatever you want over there, allá tú. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very strong.
Yeah.
So when you have a YouTube channel, you're gonna get a lot of people who hate you and allá ellos. That's their problem. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do regardless, and I'm gonna portray my channel, and I want to make sure that when I do my channel, I'm giving justice to those brujos, puertorriqueños, curandero, espiritista, because these are dying traditions, you know, light. I wanna my channel is all about not just Puerto Rican culture, but Latino culture in general. It's a beautiful tradition. Our traditions, our ways, and I don't think they should die. I don't think, you know, these traditions are dying, they're passing away.
There are.
Mhm.
So, I hope, Santissimo gives you that light and you keep going, man. You know, yeah. So many blessings to you and thank you for your time, Mr.
Muchas
Luis.
gracias, se agradece.
Okay. Okay. So thank you once again. I'll finish the video. Anybody who wants to make comments, please make comments. If he has some time, he'll answer. Or you can visit him on YouTube, make comments there. And you have a Facebook, which I know you probably have a lot of people in there. So once again, Luz en Progreso, and you have a blessed night.
Paz y justicia.
Okay. Okay. Bye.